Good morning. Today is October 1st, 2022, and time to look back on what happened yesterday according to the stories from the pre-market. And we opened in range and value according to story number one, the odds on favorite. We were to remain in balance and rotate primarily within yesterday's range. Some ideas were to sell the value area high, buy value area low, sell prior high day, prior low day, or buy prior low day at the level, or if it trades out and comes back in. I should probably include, because I definitely use it, is the overnight value area low and the overnight value area high. They're always on my chart. They're volume based, and I find them to be important references. I have for quite a long time. Same with the overnight volume point of control. It's a very important reference. So let's look at what happened here. You can see that out of our 4 to 5 day balance, we popped out again, and we ended on a spike lower, really. So this is important information coming forward into next week. Will we maintain value down there? Will we start to build value and acceptance in the spike? Because spikes indicate that maybe the auction isn't finished to the downside. But anyway, let's talk about how the stories played out. So we've got a, let me split this off here, the profile where we had a big change later in the day, and let's take a look at, let's see here if I can split this off. All right, so we opened here just below the overnight value area low, but we were in this is the value area low for the day, okay? We ticked down a little bit. This pink bar is opening range. It's 3 minutes. We ticked down just a little bit, and then moved on up towards the value area high. Didn't quite get there. So we continued through the overnight value area high. This took a couple hours. This took all morning, really. Never got to the overnight high. However, the overall concept of rotating within range was intact most of the morning. Rotated back down, then another hour of rotation here, just balancing. And then we had a initiating move down in I period, which is at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Friday, which was the end of week, end of month, end of quarter. Hope my mic is picking this up here. End of week, end of quarter, end of month, all that. Options expiration, monthly expirations were towards the close as well. And we came on down, and this was a morph into the next story. Okay, so we had the rotations, and I'm going to get into a little more detail here. This one never happened. Clear the overnight high, so number 2 is out. This has not been happening. We've had a little bit of a taste of it, like a false move the other day when we popped out of the couple day balance and back in, but didn't get this. So I think this is coming, just like number 4 might be coming. All right, this one has been on deck for a while. So anyway, let's take it a piece at a time. The next thing is we moved in to take out the low of the day, and the strategy was to look for longs at pre-identified inflection points below. Let's take a look at that. So we finally took out the low of the day in K period. Now there are trades all the way down. All right, I mentioned yesterday that a failed buy signal is now a sell signal, and a failed sell signal is now a buy signal, and that was very evident in the value area low, because when it came down here, look how far it came down. It came all the way down to the overnight value area low. So really, we were looking at my initial idea of trading the value area high, value area low. I need to probably put in there overnight value area high and value area, because that happens too, right? So, but again, the idea is the rotations. Where it's going to rotate from, that's a different story. These are just some very prominent and common references to use for that. But with the ES in the last couple of years especially, gosh, it trades like the NQ used to. It probably still does. Just like really just has a lot of extension to it. So when we came back into the value area, that might have been an opportunity to buy. It would have worked fantastic. Take it all the way up. Doesn't look like selling this worked too well, but it came on up, took out the value area high. Looks like it churned around there for a bit. It's been almost 24 hours. I don't remember how this all played out. But anyway, here we can get rid of the daily chart, because if you remember, I made a composite yesterday. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So all right, when we came down here, now it's going to be helpful to see this when K period took out yesterday's low right here. Okay, and then we hit these references. There were buy opportunities, big time, in here. Also selling opportunities. M period was a move all the way down to where I'd said that we were tapering off, and we were possibly going to move into story number 4, where the people right here, anyone who was in positions from down here in the last several days, or a long time prior, because I had these references going all the way back. However valid they are, I don't know. They do seem to hold. Like this is an overnight low from 927. L period came down right to it. You know, did that have more to do with this period, or did this period stopping here have to do with 927? And now it's, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. So we come on down and end at 4 p.m. Eastern at 35.97, which is just above the overnight low from 1220. So we still have a couple more references to go to clear that little area. We'll see what happens on Monday. We have a new distribution down here in the volume. Okay, late day spike down. All right, so let's look at it on a smaller time frame. Let's pull in a 10-minute chart. This is just a bar chart. All right. Okay, the first idea, and the open is right here. Okay. Where's my crosshairs? The open is right here, this bar. All right. So the idea again was to rotate within the prior day's range, which is from right here all the way up to here. Well, that's what happened. Every one of these, by the way, every one of these vertical lines is 30 minutes. Rotated up, rotated down, came back up to the value area, overnight low, and then we started to move to the downside, started to break down. But what I want to call your attention to, now this is pretty basic, trading these rotations. You know, you've got 30, these are 15-minute bars. These are 10-minute bars. Every 10 minutes, there's possibilities. Every 5 minutes, every minute, there's possibilities. Depends on what time frame you're trading. Well, we come down here, and you can see that the next story was to take out the low of day, look for longs at pre-identified inflection points below. Okay? So how did that work out for us? Well, here's the low of day. Here's the inflection points. You can see that there are moves up, and these are significant. Okay, so now I've got it in halves, right? So you've got these, you've got an S1, you've got some volume areas, you got a volume point of control, you got I've got a Fibonacci extension here, and you can draw your own, just to draw them as the profile's developing. Any one of these, let's take a look at the risk reward here. If I can find my little tool. There it is. So you had your stop here just for let's say you got long at the edge of this volume here, and it opened right up here. That's 5 points, 5 3/4 points. Same thing, came down here, could have come all the way up if you were so inclined to have a runner. Let's just say you took the value area low. 36 ticks. Let's move it down. Actually, we're going to say we get long at this VPOC. It's 37 ticks. You get the idea. So whatever your entry strategies are, there was a lot of opportunities there for story number 3. Now we're looking at taking out the prior lower day with continuation. Well, as I explained in the video that we're talking about, this is like barbed wire and a banister here. There's going to be some things to slow us down. But it was working. It was hammering. It was still working its way down. And then it finally cleared this low. And look at this move down, right? And there were some stopping points on the way, but it made its way through them. Have we completely fallen out of bed yet? No. You can see that right here. We still have some areas to go. Now, the idea for this was to get, if we're going to clear these areas here, and we want to look for must see value developing lower, continuation supported by market internals, or later day one-time framing lower. All right. Well, I don't remember what the market internals were, but we were late day one-time framing lower, right? Value was developing lower because right here is the value area low of yesterday. Right here, well, I'm sorry, I gotta merge this back together. Maybe that's not correct. Just a moment. All right, it's a little higher. Here's the value area low from yesterday. And here, the value area high. That's the value area high from yesterday. I'm sorry, Thursday. That's the value area low. This is the value area high from Friday. That's the value area low. So there you go. We've got one-time framing. We've got value overlapping to lower. Let's see what else. Value developing lower. That was happening. Continuation supported market internals. That's the one piece of data that I don't have on hand. I would imagine it was pretty negative by then. But there you go. So I was going to redo this video, kind of a little bit, words aren't coming as easily for some reason this morning, but this played out, right? Sort of. We've got more room for continuation, but the idea was to hopefully get more continuation, but at that time of day, you know, how far is it going to go? But the idea was to get on board with a strong move when clear long liquidation is resumed. In the near term, there's long liquidation, but we've got, you know, I'm thinking more of, just like up here, I'm looking for some real short covering. Down here, I'm looking for some bigger moves to like a trend day, right? We haven't really had a trend day. That's what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, you know, every trend day starts with a shorter move, right? So there you go. All right, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me pull in the 10-minute profile chart here as well. Let's look at it. Maybe a little easier to see things. Here's A period. Traded up. You can see on all these references there were opportunities. Okay. Value area high, went right through it. Maybe there was opportunity here, but what didn't happen? It didn't stop the overnight VPOC. You know, it got hung up there a bit. I don't know how easy it would have been to trade it. I wasn't trading that. But then once we're above it, this is actually what I want to point out. Remember what I said in yesterday's morning video, that every failed sell signal. So this might have been good for something, but like it wasn't like a rotation all the way back down, right? So now we're above it. That's a buy possibility. So now we maybe want to buy on this side of it. Same thing with the overnight value area high. Well, it looks like this might have been a buy for a couple points, but the move began back down, rotating back down. So on a smaller time frame, this is 10-minute. On a smaller time frame of 5-minute or tick chart or range bars or whatever, would there have been a sell here? Possibly. You can see that as we came on down and came back up, we had that sell from the pivot point. Now we had the sell from the settle and VPOC. Now this is acting as resistance, and then we move on down, and now the overnight low, same deal. So now you're getting the idea too that, wow, maybe we're going to take out the early morning low, and that we're going to possibly have buys down here, and which may turn into sells, which you can see prior low a day, or this value area high, however you want to do it. You've got your charts and moving averages and references and levels and indicators and just all the things that you use, right? I use my things, you use your things. And when I first got into trading, I was told, oh, you got to find your style, your own way of trade. I didn't understand that. I thought it was pretty much like, this is how you trade, and people would show you how to trade. Well, it doesn't work that way. Doesn't seem to. So, all right, that's the best I can do this morning. Hope it was worthwhile to you. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend. I may want to redo this video later, but we'll see.